Now, night 2, Justin did not get to see much of, if really any. So it's going to be a surprise, and we're going to spoil the crap out of it.
That's the goal.
That's the goal. And I think we actually lost Justin for a bit there. But
Justin? Boop, 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 doop, doop,
doop, doop, doop.
This is no royalty porn now. Music time. Oh, wait, no. That's Metallica.
yeah, sorry. Royalty strike. We're going to get hit by that.
I couldn't believe he said that about Metallica. Anyway, let's go on to the first match.
We're going to go on. Justin will be back. So, the kickoff show started off with Liv Morgan versus Natalya in a match that had absolutely no build and no heat to it, and no one really cared about. But I mean, at least it was Liv Morgan getting to try to show off on a big stage and try to
wrestle
try to
Lana
revive her career. After this whole, she's coming back and she's going to be better than ever and all that stuff. I want to point out that since her coming back, I think she's lost all 9 matches she's been in. So this whole new serious character really hasn't been quite so serious.
I want to point out that you had a specific number for matches she's been in, so yes, you would probably know whether or not she's lost. Not that I think anymore.
Well, I will also point out that the cheat sheet that I'm looking at says she was 0-9 entering this match. So,
I'm sorry. Who was 0-9?
Yeah, welcome back.
Sorry about that.
With 0-9 going into the kickoff match of night 2. Liv Morgan versus Natalya.
I didn't see the pre-show tonight,
yes.
So
I basically skimmed this match. I like Liv Morgan, but once again, like I was saying, they basically wasted her character since she came back. And they might as well have kept her in her old character as far as that, but she did finally get a win tonight, and she beat Natalya. So
that's a double win in your world.
1-9, yeah. I mean, no, I give Natalya passes now. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I was the one that said she was uncharismatic last week, but I mean, I'm still heartbroken on both fronts.
Did you take some Canadian heat for saying that about Natalya?
You know what? No one threatened to kill me, so I would like to say no.
I'm surprised you're still considered a Canadian citizen. Have you checked your papers? They might have...
Papers?
Checked my papers. To be fair, everyone's kind of in isolation and everything's done online. So we'll wait till Corona's gone and then we'll see what happens.
Yeah. They're going to be like, okay, everything's clear from Corona. And by the way, Justin, you're out. What did I do? You were bad-mouthing Natalya, and so you've got to go down to the United States.
Oh,
man.
So much for your health care.
I know. God damn it. I'm screwed.
Yeah, welcome to our world. Do you have 2 to 3 months of savings, backed up so that you can pay for your health care if you happen to lose your job? Because that's what we got to do.
Damn. I am Canadian. It's great to be Canadian, guys. Anyways, on to the match of WrestleMania.
Yes, on to the WrestleMania match. And I'm actually going to pause really quickly. Justin, check your mic settings, because I don't know if you're using
kind of
normal mic.
Because I'm using my phone.
There it is. Much
better.
There
we go. That's much better.
Oh, no. But now it's on my... Hold on. Because now it's on my speaker. Give me 1 second. Allow incoming video. No. So where do you hear it? You hear me as like an echo?
Well, we were just hearing you as like really loud and fuzzy, like overblown. Like you were right here next to your mic.
Okay, what about now?
That's
much better.
Much better.
Okay, I just have to... All right, cool. Carry on.
Okay, so moving into the first actual match of night 2 of WrestleMania. And this will tie into first night's match with Shayna Baszler, in a way. Not directly. Shayna Baszler doesn't make an appearance or anything. But it was Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley for the NXT Women's Champion. And the reason it ties in is Rhea Ripley was the one who beat Shayna Baszler. So by default, for that standing, you should say Rhea Ripley equals better than Shayna Baszler, I guess, right? But this was my frustration for tonight. you had Becky beat Shayna Baszler on night 1, and then you have Charlotte Flair beat Rhea Ripley on night 2. So you just single-handedly buried your entire NXT women's division. You know, basically saying, oh, the main roster people are better than the NXT people. So, you know, you don't need to care about NXT because they can't hang with the big boys. Now, so that means that Charlotte Flair is now your new 3-time NXT Women's Champion.
But also still only a 10-time champion, apparently.
Yeah.
Which they had to say a dozen times, which I thought to myself, isn't...
So they're not counting the NXT?
Yeah, so they're not counting NXT, so she's not a 13-time champion. And I really feel like Charlotte's the one you want to break her dad's record, / John Cena's record. Yeah. So those 3 might be important. I think you need to give those to her, or maybe have her claim those this week, just so we have that.
Give me a second, I'm putting it on mute. All right, sorry.
Giving me more work. I see. We're going to get a copyright strike for that one, too.
Oh, you heard it was the Benoit thing?
No, I didn't until now.
Yep, now I know. Now, I will say, Rhea Ripley came out with some new gear, and I'm not 100% sold on it.
Yeah, I mean, if she is our nightmare.
Yeah, then bright white and bright blue might not be the best colors to use.
What was that?
No, because I didn't watch night 2, so this is all new to me. And it's hilarious. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was literally like SmackDown blue and white, and then she had a jacket when she came out with little spikes on the shoulders that whoever made the jacket really needed to give the spikes some Viagra because they just wouldn't stand straight up. They could just kind of flopped around. So not very intimidating spikes on your, you know, the Road Warriors would have returned those and said, get us new spikes. We need spikes that stick straight up. But
so many
they were better than Aleister Black's paper mache spikes later on, but
yeah. Aleister Black's spikes have had problems a lot too. Which, you know, he's married to Zelina Vega. I don't know why his spikes have any of those problems at all.
Yeah, I think his spikes should be sticking up straight and firm.
No excuse. But because of this, back to the match, this is going to be an 18-hour podcast. Because of this, now you've had your 2 biggest NXT stars, one of them who supposedly is now up to the main roster in Shayna Baszler, lose, and Rhea Ripley also lose. And it just makes no sense for me in that standpoint. But it was a good match. I don't want to take away from the physicality of the match. That it just was ruined by the ending where Charlotte Flair hits the figure 8 and
Rhea taps out. I really think you could have gone a lot of places with Rhea here as like an overcomer. I would have loved to seen Charlotte lose and say, well, it looks like I do need to go back down or back to NXT so I can hone my craft.
That would have made sense too.
You still would have put her on NXT. She can hone her craft because she's already dominated the main roster. I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't know. But that would kind of bury Charlotte as well too. And although she can come out of it. What will she ever do to be buried? If only she had like a famous daddy or something. But no, she. Well, I mean, unless though, that's pretty vicious. Unless it technically makes NXT stars come more to Raw and kind of do more, or SmackDown and do more invasions within SmackDown or something like that, and NXT gets both Wednesdays and Fridays for titles and stuff like that. Do you think that would play off well, or that would diminish NXT as an entire brand?
I think anytime you tell the story that both of your biggest female stars lose to the people from the other shows, the storyline that you're telling to people is that the other shows are better than NXT. And if your goal is to try to bring NXT up in the eyes of the fans, then that's a failure.
And I mean, essentially this erased, on the women's side, this erased everything that Survivor Series did for NXT.
Yes.
Yep. I'd agree with that completely. Yep.
They worked so hard to build NXT up as a legitimate third brand, and then they come along with this, and they're basically like, yeah, but your women suck compared to our women.
And mind you, those two specific women were the final competitors, were the ones who put over their brands, that the NXT brand at Survivor Series. So we've made Survivor Series entirely moot, which I don't understand.
And that's
especially considering it's the only one in a head-to-head war.
You also have of the 4 competitors, 3 of them are the most over female wrestlers in all of WWE, and one of them Charlotte Flair. And you got and yet you couldn't put over any, like, Rhea Ripley is 100% over with the crowd. People love her, right? Shayna Baszler is a love to hate heel that can just come in, and you can bring Jessamine Duke and Marina Shafir up if you want to be her minions, help her win matches like they did with distraction tactics and all that stuff.
It's not like they don't need additional tag team women anyways, so do that
and everything. But nope, she loses cleanly to Becky, and then Charlotte cleanly submits Rhea Ripley in the middle of the ring, and it's just...
I'm curious if the whole COVID situation didn't happen, if the results would have been different.
The Hulk Hogan situation.
I can't exactly...
COVID situation.
The COVID. I can't deny or confirm one way or another sort of a thing, because we just don't know. But reports
there is something to be said for if you're not going to have wrestling for several weeks, or new wrestling for several weeks, you want it on your biggest stars. But that also omits the brawn aspect of that. There, you could have had somebody else who's a bigger name. You could have had Finn Balor. You could have had somebody else beat Goldberg. Which I guess the goal was to have Roman beat Goldberg, so it was just a last minute thing. So,
but you say you want it on your biggest stars, but I would argue that you want the storylines to be the biggest happy ending story, right? That you want, if you think you're not going to be able to have wrestling for a few weeks or months even, you want the last wrestling that people see to give them the warm fuzzies and happy feeling. To basically be WrestleMania from last year, where all of the people that the fans wanted to win won, right?
That's what the show of shows is supposed to be about.
Yeah, it's supposed to be the payoff and the good feeling from all the crap that they give us the rest of the year.
They went 15 WrestleManias before a heel won the main event, and that was Triple H. Yep. So that's a good point.
But they didn't, because Rhea Ripley was obviously the face, obviously the one, the underdog coming in, challenging the person at the top of the game,
challenging the challenger, yeah.
And that would have been the good storyline, is for her to win and prove that NXT is good. She even if she won through putting on a submission move and Charlotte passing out, having her do the Stone Cold moment, it still would have put a lot more emphasis on NXT and on Rhea Ripley. But now all the storyline is that Rhea can't beat Charlotte.
You could have had Rhea win because Charlotte's becoming the dirtiest player in the game, and Charlotte cheats.
Yeah.
In fact, how gold would it have been to have Charlotte get caught doing the between the leg crotch shot? Because most women would tell you that probably would hurt them too. It's not just testicles that feel pain in the crotchal region.
Or the Ric Flair reaching out and grabbing the ropes while doing the figure four. The cheaty move.
You cheated. You're disqualified.
You're disqualified. Yeah, I'm not even necessarily saying Rhea needed to win 100% cleanly, right?
Yep.
But I just feel like she really should have won. So you start off night 2 actual show with kind of a dud. Like I say, it's not
a fan disappointment.
Yeah, a disappointment, because the match was good. The wrestling in it was good. It just made no sense, and it was disappointing. And speaking of disappointment, we had Lana and Bobby Lashley coming out.
Oh my lord! I didn't even know this match was happening. Ugh.
I don't think they'd ever 100% announced it.
They did. No. They announced it, but they just never did any promo for it.
Yeah. You know why? Because they cared as much as we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Aleister Black versus Bobby Lashley with Lana in his corner. And Lana really was the reason Bobby Lashley lost.
Oh, no.
Yeah, they're telling a story here.
They're telling a story. This is going to be the breakup of Lana and Bobby Lashley to maybe lead to her getting back with Rusev in the end. Although after all of this, I don't know why, if you were Rusev, you would take her back. But that is.
Other than that, he's really still married to her in real life.
Yep. Wrestling. It's got logic. But so what happened? You had Bobby Lashley in control. He went for the gut wrench suplex that he does, and Lana jumped up and said, "You need to hit him with the spear." And spear him. You need to spear him. And so Lashley put Aleister Black down and went to the corner to get ready for the spear. And when he also
said to her, "What do you? Stop it! Get out of here! Quit."
And then when he went to spear, Black Mass by Aleister Black, and the pin and the win. And then Lashley glared at Lana as the match was over. So they're telling a story.
They're advancing a story that should have died about a year ago.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think we even said on one of the podcasts that, if there was ever a time to just drop a storyline and pretend it never happened, this was it.
Yeah. This is more it than Imposter Kane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh damn, that's bad then.
Yeah.
Well, at least they dropped Imposter Kane.
Yeah. Understand this isn't working, and then just let Lana go off and do her movies for a while, and Bobby Lashley can go back to being Bobby Lashley, and everyone's fine. Just never talk.
Give us back Leo Rush. That's
fine. Now, I am going to say Bobby Lashley had some sweet new tights, and I actually really like them. I've always been a long leg tights fan myself. I think the briefs sometimes look too much like diapers, but the long tights look cooler. And they were cool looking new tights. So here's hoping he keeps them around.
Here's something else for underproduction of matches. You did not have to underproduce Aleister Black's entrance. I felt Aleister Black's entrance was better in Raw when there was an audience there than it was tonight, and I don't know what was limp about it other than that they can't do any pyro, so maybe they can't even have open flames, but that was underproduced.
But they had all sorts of lasers all night.
Lasers
everywhere, because it's the feature.
Were there sharks with laser beams attached to their head?
There were no sharks with freaking laser beams.
Laser beams.
There was something to talk about from night one. They used a whole lot of the CGI decorations in night one. So when the camera was panning over the ring, you would have banners that were entirely CGI hanging from the roof that you knew that no one there could see. They were totally added afterward. But I noticed on night two they didn't do that hardly at all. So I wonder if either they just didn't have time to do all of them, or if they kind of heard the pushback from people making fun of the CGI on night one and said, let's ixnay on the EGI say. Not do that tonight.
So, hey, I did forget one thing, and this is back to night one. Gronk is the host.
Oh, yeah. And also the intro, technically.
But yeah, that horrible.
What? I enjoyed that.
Oh, I hated that. All things Gronk, the only thing I thought good out of Gronk the entire time was when he did the yes movement with Daniel Bryan. And he talked about CGI, and I thought about the platform that sits up in the air. That's the only reason I bring it up right now. So, yes, Rhea got robbed, and Bobby Lashley and Lana should never have a storyline ever again.
Yeah. Yes, but none of that.
I think we can move past that.
So, we will move on to another match that really didn't need to be a WrestleMania match, I guess, but here it is.
Too big for one night, bud.
Too big for one night. Yeah, well, speaking of too big, Otis versus Dolph Ziggler.
But what a great ending. So
yeah, I thought the payoff here was worth the storyline.
Yeah,
it was
like this one actually made the payoff worth.
It did. I just this was one of those that I the entire time going into it, I'm like, is this a WrestleMania storyline? To me, this is a SummerSlam storyline.
I would agree with that.
You know, and the only reason it got shoehorned into WrestleMania is because of Valentine's Day. So they had Valentine's Day, and what's the next major pay-per-view after? WrestleMania. So we'll do that, I guess. But keeping in mind, Valentine's Day was February, and WrestleMania is the beginning of April. So there was a pay-per-view in between.
Yeah. And Dolph, it was Elimination Chamber, and Dolph and Otis had their little feud at Elimination Chamber. Remember, he went flying in through the glass.
Yeah, he did. And they could have had this whole ending then. That being said, it wasn't a bad match. It wasn't a great match, but not bad.
Yep, I enjoyed it.
Of course, on SmackDown, they revealed that Sonya Deville and Ziggler had teamed up to sabotage the date with Otis on Valentine's Day to set up Ziggler to date Mandy Rose and to humiliate Otis and whatever. So that gave Otis even more fire that he was robbed of his date with Mandy Rose, and it set up the finish where in the ring Ziggler hit Otis with the low blow when the ref wasn't looking and was setting up to do the super kick, finish, all of that stuff, and Mandy Rose's music hit. By the way, Sonya Deville came out with Dolph Ziggler because, I guess, reasons.
Bad guys,
yeah. But so Mandy Rose's music hit. She came out, she confronted Sonya Deville, slapped her, beat the tar out of her, and then threw her into the ring, which distracted the ref so that she could go around to the side and hop up into the ring. And Ziggler is like, "What are you doing? You're ruining it." And then she takes him to Dick Hit City and then rolls out of the ring. And Otis miraculously gets better enough to hit the Caterpillar and get the pin.
You didn't mention that Otis had been taken to Dick Hit City by Sonya Deville distracting the ref just before that, and Ziggler.
No, I said Ziggler kicked him.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yep. The ref was distracted and Ziggler kicked him, and then he was setting up for the kick. Although if you look at it, like it wasn't even. It was like he kicked him in the tailbone.
Yeah.
So unless his anatomy is very, very weird, at which point this date with Mandy Rose could go awkward. But anyways, Ziggler got 100% dick hit. That was so. And then in the end, Mandy Rose got in and celebrated with Otis, and then they kissed.
Hey, so happy for Otis. Otis is the only happiest person during this whole isolation, COVID-19. He's the only happy guy, and you know what? I don't mind it. I don't mind him being the happiest guy in this current situation.
Yeah. But so,
I also really, really liked Mandy's outfit tonight.
Yeah, she had a new outfit. I am really interested.
You do that so good. Holy crap. Sorry, go on.
Some people are just talented. Mine is that right there. That is my talent.
The entirety of it.
That's it. But I am super interested in how they try to present Mandy Rose no longer as Mean Girl Mandy Rose, because that's been the entirety of her character since she got called up, right? Has been she's the pretty girl who treats other people badly. And
there's gonna have to be a breakup line though, and that's where they'll do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll happen.
She'll come out valet. She'll valet for 6 months or so.
But they're just gonna have to do something where now she's a nice girl, and I'm just interested. If she can pull it off, it'll show some range for her. I hope they've got plans for Sonya Deville because she's too good to just waste. But who knows there? But no, it was a good match.
Maybe
it wasn't
a title match.
Maybe she goes back down to NXT and goes after Charlotte. And then you can have main roster people come back down to NXT and run the whole show.
Well, let's just establish
people down here in NXT.
Part of the problem with what you just said is that you said come back down to NXT because NXT is still their best product.
In the eyes
according to Vince McMahon.
That's crappy S word right there.
That is bad S word.
That's bad shit.
Moving on to the next match, and this is another one of them where they thought outside the box, even though they stayed inside the box, as in the building. The last man standing match.
Oh no, yeah.
Randy Orton versus John Cena, and being a last man standing match, it was no DQ and could go anywhere.
Versus Edge.
Versus Edge, yeah.
Said John Cena.
No, he said John Cena because he thought we were on that match. But it covered up me saying Randy Orton versus Edge.
Okay, just making sure.
And Edge is Adam Copeland, in case you're wondering.
Yes. If you did not know, Adam Edge.
And they married to Bethany Copeland.
Yes.
Who is also known as Elizabeth Copeland or Beth Phoenix.
Yeah, Beth Phoenix Copeland. Is there a hyphen? Does she
Holy shit, guys. Let's go.
You do realize this is why the listeners listen to us, is the chaos that ensues in between. They already know what happened on the show. There's not a wrestling fan out there who hasn't watched.
I haven't.
Now.
Oh, so you're not a fan. Okay.
There's not a good wrestling fan out there who hasn't watched WrestleMania by now.
But this one, like I say, was another outside the box, inside the box thinking. They used everywhere in the performance. Everywhere. Like the workout facilities, there was one part where Randy is knocked down and Edge uses the weightlifting rig to do kind of a pull-up and swing forward and drop an elbow on him. Things like that.
Oh, I was expecting the Gargano Ciampa weight thrown at the other person.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I was expecting, but it was one of those where it was just chaos the entire time, and cool spots left and right, just crazy stuff.
Did you say a match of the night?
Of the night, yes, I would say the match of the night. Match of the night.
Match. Yes, that's where we have to use.
That's what I mean by night two. Yeah, I mean
night two. Well, because there's something coming up that was segment of the night, in my opinion, by far.
The segment of WrestleMania by far.
WrestleMania, yeah, of the whole thing. But it's really hard to call it match of anything, and we'll get to it. But so this, like I said, it went pretty much everywhere. But then it ended with Edge does a standing arm triangle to Orton. I think they're on top of something or near to on top of it. Orton falls headfirst onto a chair. Edge stops the referee from counting because, it's last man standing, so the referee is counting to 10. Edge stops him, goes and grabs a chair, and has this whole, he almost looked like he's about to cry at one point.
Yeah. It
was really great acting, really great performance from Edge, but eventually hits the concerto to Randy Orton's head. And on top of the production truck, I think they were on, or something like that. And then tells the referee to start the count, and the referee counts and gets to 10, and Edge wins. And it was really entertaining. I enjoyed the heck out of it.
The only part of the whole thing that I didn't like was the introductions. So Edge comes out, and then Randy Orton's music hits, and it's like Edge doesn't know who Randy Orton is.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's standing there staring like, why hasn't he come out? But I'm going to keep staring up there. Like, what person doesn't know Randy Orton well enough to go, I should look behind me?
I'm facing this guy whose whole character is based on sneak attacks. I am right at the entrance ramp, despite the fact that, once again, whole character based on sneak attacks, and this is an empty arena, so he could come from anywhere. But I'm going to look at the entrance ramp, because that's where his music is playing. And sure enough, Randy Orton was disguised as a cameraman, which then makes me wonder, how long was he playing that role of cameraman? Like,
yeah, because that helps them with the production aspects, with the extra characters aspects. This is how you run a camera.
I think they should run an entire storyline on Raw where they say, we got footage of how long Randy Orton played cameraman, and here he is in the middle of the Rhea Ripley match, and here
nobody noticed him.
He's a
hey, Tucky, I think that's Randy Orton over there, Tucky.
Hey, Tucky. Randy Orton, Tucky. No, Otis, that's not.
Tucky's not here. He's in the hospital.
Don't you remember? Anyways, but no, it was a good match all in all. That whole dressed as a cameraman thing was probably the only thing that I would have cut from this. To be perfectly honest.
My folks were complaining that it was long. Was it long?
It was long, and I actually mentioned that to Smarks while we were waiting for you to finish watching night one. That I felt that this was a little bit long.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they probably could have cut some out. But who knows how long they actually filmed this, because it went all over. There was one part in it where the cameraman got knocked down in a hallway, and then they brawled out of screen, and then they cut to the cameraman finally caught up with them, and so I guarantee you that was a cut there. That was a now we can reset and start things again. Everyone can rest and whatever.
Take a breather.
Yeah, take a breather. Go hit craft services. Whatever. But it doesn't matter to me because it was spectacular. It was great storytelling. Probably not the best wrestling. In terms of like in-ring wrestling tonight.
Well, it was all over the place though, right? So,
I would say Charlotte Rhea was the best in-ring
Charlotte
wrestling.
was probably the best in-ring of the night.
Oh wow. Okay.
But this told the same storyline that that we kind of got in the AJ, the two grudge matches. We had the grudge match. Well, the 4 grudge matches told the best storyline. Before, I'm upset at you about something, and that's the way it probably should be. I mean, this is actually what we've said they should do with the Fiend for ages, is have him not be about a title, but about grudges and anger and all that stuff, which we'll get to later. But we're still on.
It also, it's worth pointing that so far the best segments that we've talked about have all been the ones where they went outside their comfort zone and did something a little crazy that they could only really do with this whole pre-recording empty arena sort of concept, right?
Yeah, because the last man standing at WrestleMania normally would have to be in the ring where it was counted.
Yep.
Where the 80,000 fans
would have the 80,000 people watching. So exactly.
That's kind of disappointing then, because then they can't really use this aspect when everything is back to normal.
I think they'll have to go indoors for WrestleManias.
I think they'll have to go indoors.
Because how good this one is, I think they'll have to go indoors.
I think they also, they don't necessarily have to do these sorts of storylines at WrestleMania, but,
anywhere, anything with a crowd, you can't really do it. The crowd, no one's going to pay $500 for a taped segment to be shown on a Titantron.
I think they would if they were the two big tape segments. I don't think they would for the Edge and Orton match and the KO and Rollins match, but those theoretically still happened at the show.
Yeah, that's the deal. Like, this match here could have happened at the show in the late 90s and early 2000s.
Happened in the ring where the injury happened.
Yeah, well, and in the late 90s, early 2000s, there were multiple all arena matches, the Falls Count Anywhere matches that went all around the arena. Hardcore matches, but most of them they had the finish in the ring. Which is the change they would have done for this. But, I point out, Impact Wrestling did all of the total nonstop deletion and all of that stuff and got bonkers ratings. And that's effectively what they would be doing with the Undertaker storyline if they continued that.
Well, and Roman beat Corbin 3-4 paper. Was that at Elimination Chamber? That was at Elimination Chamber. No, that was before that. The one TLC right after Survivor Series. Roman beat Corbin on the dugout of a baseball field.
Yep.
So Falls Count Anywhere can be done anywhere in the arena, and still everybody can see it. Because if you've ever been to a live event, as we know you have, because you were at the Montreal Screwjob, I'm gonna blame you. I'm gonna blame you for the fact that Bret Hart got screwed.
I was wearing Shine Michael glasses when it happens, so the hard glasses and everything. Yep.
Oof. Anyway,
one of those guys.
Turn your
I was
back,
like
idiot.
7.
Anyway,
You're just a little baby.
you can do those matches at those major events. The hard one will be for 80,000 fans. They're gonna watch because they have been incredibly successful with the 2 studio matches. Those will not go away at this juncture.
Okay, so just any other event, just not WrestleMania.
Well, no, I mean, if you go live to WrestleMania, you're gonna have to watch it. I'm gonna assume you're gonna have to watch an Undertaker match on the Titantron.
Right.
Yeah,
for sure.
But here's the deal: is just because you're watching something on a Titantron doesn't mean there can't be some entertainment around for you. I mean, yeah. I've been to events that had to simulcast, and they still have something going on in the local arena.
Like what?
Even if it's just like crowd hyping, just people coming out and talking to the crowd, giving a promo or something like that.
Use your t-shirt gun, shoot it out in the audience.
Yep, t-shirt gun. New Day doing their unicorn dancing and
pancake
gyration.
Or heck, get Stone Cold to come out and hit a bunch of Steve Weisers. The crowd will go nuts while this match goes for everyone else. And then you get them out of the ring and you go back to the,
Yeah.
Fair.
But moving on, next match of the night was probably the only match that, like, of night 2 that I was like, really, did we have to do this match? And it comes down to this. The people that were supposed to be in this match could not be in this match for multiple reasons. This was absolutely thrown together because it was supposed to be Street Profits versus AOP, and then one of AOP got injured. So then they're like, okay, that's fine. We'll put it as Street Profits versus Angel Garza and Andrade because they've been teaming up. Then Andrade gets injured, and so then they just pull up Austin Theory because why not? His name starts with an A, and so does Andrade and Angel Garza. So, that.
I'm sure that was the reason.
That's not even Latino.
It doesn't matter. It starts with an A.
Yep.
Austin's close to Mexico, right?
So is Aleister Black. Go ahead and go with get rid of the Lashley match and just have wrestling imitates real life. And hey, honey, I need you to come be in this match because Andrade's injured.
Would have made as much sense as this.
Yeah, would have made more sense.
Yeah.
No, the name wouldn't have rang as well.
Aleister? It starts with an A.
Yeah, but I mean, say it together. Aleister and Angel.
No, that does Angel and Aleister. Angel and Black. Yeah, I'm sorry. The
Black Angel. Oh, yeah. Shit. Yeah.
You might have a tag team waiting to happen there.
Boom. See?
Anyway.
Not too bad.
But so ragtag tag team. But I basically, like, going into this, my wife, she loves to play the game, who do you think's gonna win before each match? Because apparently I'm an expert in her mind, and yes, I occasionally get some right.
She also obviously doesn't read your Wix.
Yeah, well, I didn't get a one put together for this just because so much crazy stuff happening and not even really knowing what matches were going to be at WrestleMania made it just a nightmare.
And excuses that he has are just unbearable as well. So, just adding that to it.
Says the guy who hasn't watched the show we're commentating on.
I worked. Leave me be.
But Austin Theory and Angel Garza versus the Street Profits for the Raw Tag Team Championships. And when my wife asked me, I said, Street Profits should win this. Street Profits probably will win. However, WWE has a long history of, we just threw these two superstars together and put them in a tag match. Let's have them win the belts because reasons.
Well, and typically replacements get the win. It's actually really rare to have what happened in this match happen.
Yep.
Because usually the replacements get the win.
And
this is your reward for being a replacement.
Yeah. You saved our butts by being here when so-and-so got injured, so we're going to give you the win to make you feel better. But Street Profits were able to retain and keep the belts. And it was a good match. It wasn't great. It wasn't phenomenal. But it also wasn't bad. I was happy to see that Montez Ford wasn't dead after.
Oh my God! Right? Yeah, same here.
After Raw last week. Oh my goodness.
Jesus.
So
why did they keep that in, by the way?
Him almost dying.
Yeah.
I'm glad they did because it's all I talked about for about a day and a half. But
I'm here. My Raw recap was all over that. And then I tweeted.
It was now reportedly Seth Rollins was supposed to trip Montez Ford and therefore stop him from even doing that dive, and that's why Austin Theory was not set up to catch Montez Ford, is because Montez Ford wasn't actually supposed to jump at all. But Seth Rollins was a millisecond late with his reach to try to trip Montez Ford, and Montez decided just screw it, I'm just gonna do this dive into nothing.
Yeah, but why would you just do a dive into nothing?
Nothing at all. And just absolute plop. But he's alive, and he did not break his back or anything, as far as we know. And, ended
so much
up...
so that we think he actually wrestled tonight.
Yeah, he wrestled. I mean, it wasn't tonight. I don't know, a week ago, but...
Whatever they did it, yeah.
But, so, but it all came down to, in the end, he was able to... So, Austin Theory was hitting his TKO, which is his finisher sort of a thing, and was going for the cover. 1, 2, then Montez Ford hit the frog splash on Theory's back, breaking up that, and Angelo Dawkins was able to roll over, drape an arm over Theory, and get the win. So they retained, they won that way. Then afterwards, Angel Garza and Austin Theory were attacking Street Profits, just beating him up, which I want to point out that on NXT, Austin Theory isn't portrayed as a heel, really. He's cocky, but he's not a heel or a face, really. But he was definitely playing heel here. So
he hasn't been around enough to be anything yet in NXT.
But
I think is the story there.
But so he's playing heel. They're all beaten up on the Street Profits afterwards. Zelina Vega hits a super kick on Montez Ford. They're holding him up and everything. And then all of a sudden you hear Bianca Belair's music hit, and she comes out and makes the save and beats them all off, and they go running. That was not the best wording.
I'm leaving it in.
Beats the bad guys away. Anyways, but an interesting thing.
So she cheats on her husband right then and there.
Right in front of him.
She's certainly a master beater.
She saves him after he got super kicked, and then she cheats on him. No. But that's about the only
She's not beating them all off.
This
just Montez later.
Yeah. But that was the weird thing, is like she saves them, she then raises their arms to do all this stuff, but they never once make any mention of the relationship between her and Montez Ford. Like commentary the entire time.
Oh, I think commentary did. I swear they did.
No, they didn't, because I rewatched it because of it. They were like, oh, she saved them. Oh, geez, it's weird. I don't know why, and all they have to say is, well, it makes sense for her to come out. She is married to Montez Ford.
Yeah.
And then they even had like Montez looking up like, I don't know if I can trust her, as she's standing there, and it was a really weird storyline thing. But this probably means Bianca Belair is coming up to the main roster.
Which is unfortunate, because I think she should be the one to take the title off of Charlotte. But
yeah, but
storyline already built.
In a total side note, I think Bianca Belair has probably one of my favorite entrance musics of all of the current roster WWE, because it just makes me want to bop. as
plural musics.
Hmm?
You pluraled music. You said entrance musics.
Yeah.
Because there are plural musics.
No, it's music, and that's it. She has one of the best entrance music.
Nope, she's got plural musics. We're moving on.
Right.
Entrance themes.
There we
change
go.
the word
Entrance
themes?
music. It was an apostrophe S because the music owns her. Anyways, moving on.
Jesus Christ.
Remember earlier when we were talking about you not being able to really cope with being incorrect sometimes?
Nope. Don't remember that at all.
Okay, just checking. I'll leave it alone. I'd hate to get kicked off a podcast that I helped start.
Just knowledge is power. That's all.
You're fire. I don't know where that
On
came
to the next match.
So, the next match was really not a match. But it was a match. So,
The dream.
so after last night, we didn't even actually talk about it because it doesn't even matter. But on the first night, you had Mojo Rawley win the 24/7 title off of R-Truth in an absolute throwaway moment that I actually missed when watching it first time. So Gronk hit R-Truth and went for the pin, and Mojo pulled him off of R-Truth and then pinned R-Truth himself to win the belt on the first night. Then on the second night, they had the one thing that we've been saying was missing from WWE TV recently, and that's a whole bunch of jobbers chasing a person into an arena for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah, just stay home, bud. Just stay home. You didn't even have to be there.
Yeah, exactly. You go shelter in place, right? You lock the doors. No one can come and take your belt.
COVID-19 makes me the longest reigning single reign all of the 24/7.
Pretty much. But in this, so the whole bunch of jobbers, and like literally, it was a mass of them enough that I really had a hard time even recognizing most of them. You know, it was just like, oh look, there's someone in red. I don't know who that is. Oh, there's other people, and oh geez. But
MVP's singlet was unique, the blue and orange checker one. It was MVP.
I guess.
Masso people. But then they all gathered in one spot, which happened to be right underneath the little balcony thing that Gronk was hosting WrestleMania from, which I want to point out, they made a big deal about Gronk hosting WrestleMania, and he basically did jack squat.
He botched it pretty bad.
Really?
At the beginning of the first night said it's going to be, if anyone knows how to start a party and end it 36 hours later, it's me. And then we really didn't see him for the rest of the night.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So,
well, he didn't end it.
Yep.
No.
And then he didn't end it, no, because he dove off the top of it, took out the whole mass of rando jobbers, and then pinned Gronk. And so,
Not
pinned
Gronk,
Mojo. So Gronk is now the 24/7 title holder.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Please.
Jesus.
I can't help but think that this is their David Arquette moment.
Yeah.
At least it was the 24/7 title, not the world title.
Yeah. This is valid.
True. But yeah, so Gronk is now a WWE title holder. Let that sink in for a bit.
NASCAR's won it, so why can't he?
Yeah, I guess.
That's true.
Anyway,
moving on.
But because of that, we also got
yeah,
and he did a great
Titus
job.
O'Neil took over.
Yep.
Yeah, Titus O'Neil took over as host for the rest of it.
Oh,
he knows how to close out a 36 party with 3 matches left.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
he seems like he'd be good at that, though. He seems
If
like
I
he's
ever have a 36-hour long party and I have to leave with an hour and a half left in it, I will call Titus O'Neil to finish hosting.
He did a good job.
So
Hey,
the next
can you
match,
beat me? No, I'm 6'7" and you're 5'2". Oh,
Okay.
that's the reason, not the black versus white thing, huh? Okay.
can you just be taller me? Sure.
You guys do look a lot alike, other than the hair.
Other than pretty much everything. If you take away everything about you, Fabe, you look a lot like him too.
I do. I also look incredibly like Goldberg, which I actually said to a friend the other night. I said, other than the hair, muscles, and excessive body fat that I have, I look almost identical to Goldberg.
That's at least a better compliment than the guy who told me I looked like a fat Conan O'Brien.
I knew that's where that was going as soon as he said the guy who told me.
I just have to always say this. If you have to put the word fat before a celebrity, it no longer becomes a compliment.
Well, I mean, it wasn't, you look like a fat John Goodman. That'd be, what?
At that point, it's even, but I don't care. I don't care who it is. You tell a girl that she looks like a fat Giselle Bundchen. Which probably gonna.
She could be smoking hot, hotter than Giselle if she was a fat Giselle, because Giselle's a beanpole.
You look like a fat Precious.
Probably punch. You look like a fat anything is no longer a compliment, right? and I like Conan O'Brien, but I gotta be honest, I look nothing like him, fat or skinny
or tall, because he's like my height. He's like 6'4".
Yeah, he is. He would tower over me, and he would look at me and say, "You look nothing like me. You don't even have red hair." And I'd say, "I know."
He might look at you and be like, "You look like a short version of me."
Yeah.
I would say you're more like
same body weight.
You're more like, damn it, not Roger Moore. That film actor who always talks about Bush. Michael Moore. Michael Moore would make more sense. No?
Yeah. Well, that's, I guess.
Again, also don't say a fat Michael Moore, because then you're really mean and insulting.
You look like a fat Chris Farley. What? A lot. You could just say I look like a Chris Farley.
Yeah, you can just left it at that. Like, fatter version of that doesn't need to happen.
No, you look like a fat.
You know Jared from the Subway commercials?
You look
no,
like him.
Not after he lost the weight.
You look like a fatter version of the fat Subway guy.
Yeah. You look like a fat Albert. No.
Hey.
It really is like saying you look like a Chimo version of Jared from the Subway commercials.
Nope.
What?
Nope.
That's mean. We probably went too far there.
Okay.
I think I went too far.
So we will move on to wrestling. Yay, wrestling podcast.
This looks like a fat editing happen for Officer Smarks.
Hey, you look like a fat Sasha Banks. Sasha is gonna kill you because she looks like a normal Sasha Banks because she's Sasha Banks. 5-way match for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Bayley defends against
we missed
Lacey
you.
Evans, Naomi, Sasha Banks, and me, and no Dana Brooke, and no anyone else. Now, I do have to point out, I had mentioned Carmella as a potential replacement to it in a previous episode when we were talking about this, but I did find out since then Carmella is sheltered in place, quarantining herself to prevent the spread of COVID-19, and so that's why she wasn't available, and I'll give her applause. She made the choice to do that, and she's welcome to do it, and I'm glad she did. So,
and she was also doing the challenge. I forgot what the challenge was called, but she was doing like some kind of chimpanzee challenge or something where she crawled on Corey Graves.
The koala challenge.
Koala challenge, that's it.
Well, because her and Corey Graves are a couple.
No, that I get.
So, yep. So she did that. I would like to point out that I don't care how well Carmella did with the koala challenge with Corey Graves, because watching Nikki Cross and her husband Killian Dane do the koala challenge on Instagram and Twitter was phenomenally fun this last week.
Oh, I gotta watch that. Nice.
They were hilarious. Now Killian Dane is a big guy in all respects of it, right? He is tall.
All of the respects.
All respects that I can see.
Okay,
and,
fair enough.
I haven't heard Nikki Cross making any complaints, so I'm gonna assume there too.
That would make her a really terrible wife if she did.
True. And if anyone would know about terrible wives, I'm gonna move on.
That was the worst spot to do that. You do know your wife listens to the podcast, right?
I was moving on to stop myself from insulting you for your.
I have a complete and utter understanding of terrible wives.
Yes,
yeah.
You
ex-wives in this instance.
Finally, ex.
Anyway, moving forward. So I do know terrible wives. Yes.
Bayley won versus Lacey Evans, Naomi, Sasha Banks, and Tamina. I don't know why this match had to have all the members that it did, because Tamina and Naomi really didn't make much of a difference in the match. It was an elimination match, so all they did
was pinned by all 4 members, though, which is trying to build her up to be a monster.
Yeah. She could just, I don't know, murder her girlfriend, and then we'd know she's a monster. And I am getting dark. I'm moving on.
Wow.
Jesus Christ.
Did you just cut on her dad?
I did.
Wow.
Not defend himself. God.
Holy cow.
Now, Justin, are you familiar with the whole story of Jimmy Snuka and his girlfriend?
I've heard a few stories.
Look it up. It is, he was a garbage person.
Isn't that why he went to jail, though, or something?
He never actually ended up getting sentenced. He was, I believe they were getting ready to convict, but then he died of whatever, like, brain tumor that he was dealing with.
That was it, yeah.
And because of that, based on the way the law is written in that area, if you die before you're convicted, you officially are acquitted, even if they were convicting you. You know what I mean? Even if you were guilty, you get a pass because you're dead.
So Adrian Hernandez is innocent.
He actually got
Aaron Hernandez.
Yeah.
He was convicted before he died.
Yeah, he convicted before he died. However, this same law, his lawyer could petition for the conviction to be overturned because he was still awaiting sentencing.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
But he at least had been convicted first.
Okay.
Snuka had not been convicted yet, and they were trying to argue that he was not in a mental state to be convicted because of his illness.
Right, 'cause that happened so long ago, too. It wasn't like something new, right?
Yeah, it had been a cold case for like 20 years.
Yeah,
that's it.
So, anyways, I'm going to move on from being a garbage person and talking about someone's dad like that.
Yeah, Duke Drew, see? How dare you?
And instead, talk about a garbage match. No, it wasn't that bad.
It was bad at first.
It just didn't need to be.
Was out, it got better.
It just didn't need to be a 5-person elimination, right? They could have told the exact same story if they had made it a triple threat, right? Where it was, or even just a 4-way, right? Lacey Evans and Naomi versus Sasha Banks and Bayley. Having that 5th person and originally 6th person in it didn't add anything to the match, really.
Except for time. It would have added time.
But in the end, Naomi got eliminated. It was down to Lacey, Sasha, and Bayley. Lacey hits the women's right on Sasha to eliminate her. So then it's down to Bayley and Lacey Evans. Lacey Evans looks like she might be making a run for it, and then out of nowhere, Sasha Banks gets into the ring, hits the backstabber on Lacey Evans, and then Bayley hits. I think it must be she's trying to do it as her new finisher. It's kind of a weird, like, forward Russian leg sweep face buster move. Bayley hit. It was weird. I think it needs more work.
But the Bayley to belly is we said it for years. It was a horrible finisher. Yeah. I did enjoy. So there's one spot Bayley had before the end of the match, and before we talk too much about it, when she tied Lacey's hand up, I thought that was a really cool little thing that they did there, because it's obviously no DQ with it being a 5-person elimination. So I thought that was well done.
Well, and they even tied it into, Lacey Evans tried to do moves later, but her right wrist was hurt because of that, and so she couldn't hit the women's right with it anymore. Things like that. No, I mean they told a good storyline. Once they got down to 3 people, it wasn't a bad match. It just, like I said, didn't need to be a 5-person match. In the end, they did a little bit of a tease for a potential turn by Sasha Banks on Bayley, but not enough.
Or by Bayley on Sasha.
My opinion. And so I think they could have done more with it, but whatever. They're going to stretch it out even longer. I would have thought it would have been way better if at the end of the match, Bayley wins, Sasha picks up the belt.
No! Bayley won?
Bayley won. Yep.
Oh. I was waiting.
Sasha picks up the belt and goes to hand it back to Bayley. And there's this look of, can I trust you, or are you going to try to backstab me? And Sasha then puts the belt around Bayley's waist, and is buckling it at the back, velcroing it at the back, because that's what WWE do. And I said that was the perfect moment for her to get the belt on, and then Bayley's looking smart, and then backstab her on Bayley right there, and then
set up the feud.
A feud.
But that didn't happen.
They didn't
do
it.
That did not happen. No. I thought what should have happened was Bayley turn on Sasha during the match. This is how I would have written it. I would have had Bayley turn on Sasha during the match. Quick opportunity to eliminate somebody because she thinks she can beat the remaining one person, being Lacey Evans, because she's beat Lacey Evans a couple times, and then Lacey get the win. I will say for many months we said Lacey wasn't ready. A year later, Lacey's ready. I will hands down say Lacey, her in-ring work in this match was exceptional. So that's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it.
Yep. But speaking of exceptional, we will move on to the second to last match of the night, and this I'm going to say
best segment of the weekend.
I'm going to say it. Yep, I agree. I'm not even going to get into the review of this. This thing was phenomenal. It was great. I laughed. I was enthralled the entire time. Bray Wyatt, The Fiend versus John Cena in a Firefly Funhouse match, which, just like the Boneyard match, they really didn't explain leading up to this on any of the other shows what a Firefly Funhouse match was going to be.
Explain this though.
Yeah.
And they didn't really explain it on this one at all. It was like a fever dream. It was like you drank something weird and ate spicy food before going to bed. There's no other way to describe it.
Which is why John Cena shit himself during it. Also why I shit myself watching it. It was that good.
It was absolutely crazy. So John Cena comes out to the ring and is like, how's this going to play out? You know, you can see he's confused or whatever. And then he said, welcome to WrestleMania. And then they did like this cut in with this highlight reel of the welcome to WrestleManias from all the years past, with Mean Gene saying it and Vince McMahon saying it and all of this stuff. And then Bray Wyatt popped up on the screen from inside the Funhouse, said, you're about to face your most difficult opponent, yourself.
Snap.
Wyatt walked out of the ring, goes out, and then all of a sudden
walked out of the Funhouse.
Yeah, walked out of the front door, and then all of a sudden is in the Funhouse, surrounded by puppets, and then he walks out of that door into a dark, unlit space, and then the Vince McMahon puppet popped up and asked Cena if he had enough ruthless aggression, said, show me or you're fired, and then it just went LSD crazy, right?
This is what The Fiend should have been the entire time.
It was
the Hell in a Cell, everything.
I cannot tell you how much fun I had with it, but so then there's the regular Bray Wyatt in the sweatshirt in the middle of the ring, and then John Cena comes out and he's dressed exactly as he was on that debut on SmackDown when Kurt Angle called out someone, and he came out and said ruthless aggression, and then decked Kurt Angle, and the match happened, and he lost the match. And they did did this whole thing in that, talking about how it's horrible. You know, Bray Wyatt's like, you're living out your biggest failure. And
he took a couple swings at Wyatt, and Wyatt dodged him. I mean,
yep. And then it cut, just all of a sudden, boom, and now the background says like main event, like Saturday Night Main Event, but it's like the old main event from like the early to mid 90s main event. And you got the puppets on commentary, Vince McMahon puppet on commentary, and Bray Wyatt, now he's got a bandana on, he's kind of playing the Hulk Hogan role, and then he calls in his partner John Cena, named Johnny Largemeat, and John Cena comes in, he's kind of dressed like Randy Savage, and he's pumping iron. He's got a dumbbell in each hand, and he's pumping iron. Yeah, barbell in each hand, the entire time. And they deliver this just absolutely just nuts, kind of like very Hulk Hogan Macho Man promo.
Promo, yeah.
He mentions cream rising to the top, you know, things like that. And then by the end of it, he wants to take a swing at Bray Wyatt, but his arms are too tired from all the pumping iron that he's been doing with the the dumbbells, right? And his arms are tired, and then that scene fades out, and then it fades back up, and now he's in his whole Doctor of Thugonomics outfit. Right.
Did he do a freestyle?
He's got the word live. That's
Hold
coming.
on. This gets good.
He's got the word live rings on, all of this stuff. He comes down to the ring. There's the SmackDown fist. Old SmackDown set. He starts to deliver a promo and realizes he can only talk in rhymes.
Yes.
So then he does his rapping gimmick, where he's doing it, and he, because now he can only talk in rhymes, he can actually do things, you know, whereas the previous ones he was totally under Bray Wyatt's control. But even that, since he was still in Bray Wyatt's headspace, no matter what he did, like, he wasn't getting crowd response. He would throw out a zinger rap beat, you know, rap segment, and then you just hear crickets after it. He took a shot at Husky Harris and Fat, you know, all of this stuff.
Bray laid into him with a exceptional monologue about him being a bully, because that character was also a bully who talks smack to everyone, and it was an exceptional monologue.
I am so excited to go watch this after this.
It was so great. You know, he said, you know, how dare you talk about chances, John Cena? You were the golden goose from the start with unlimited chances, and the rest of us all had to work our way up. You were the bully, not the hero. John Cena goes to punch him, and he teleports out of the way, and takes John Cena's chain with him, and then uses that to hit him. And then all of a sudden it changes again, and now Bray Wyatt is starting to do things. He's sitting in his chair in his old Bray Wyatt
gimmick.
What?
Oh god.
Yeah, rocking, and then talking about all of the full circle, how John Cena was what ended his whole run and started him on this downward spiral that led to this, you know, all of this stuff. It was so, and then he's back in the ring. The rocking chair is there. He gets up, it goes over, and John Cena's now dressed in the same outfit he was wearing at WrestleMania 30. And they recreate some spots from the match, even the Sister Abigail. But then, of course, if you remember the ending of that match, Bray Wyatt's on.
Oh, you cut out.
Bray Wyatt just says, "Do it, end me." Can you hear me?
Yeah, go back. So at the ending of that match at WrestleMania 30.
Ending of that match, WrestleMania 30, Bray Wyatt is on his knees. John Cena has the chair, and he says something along the lines of like, "Do it, end me." And John Cena won't swing the chair at Bray Wyatt. And on this one, John Cena's frustrated and he swings, but Bray Wyatt disappears from in front of him. And then, if it hadn't been crazy enough, all of the sudden, you see the WCW Nitro intro.
Stop.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. The WCW Nitro.
No, the NWO Nitro.
Yeah, the WCW Nitro that then went to the NWO. And then it had Bray Wyatt coming to the ring, dressed like Eric Bischoff. They were even cutting in Eric Bischoff scenes, with his black leather jacket and all of this stuff. Bray Wyatt does basically an Eric Bischoff monologue, intercut with scenes of Eric Bischoff saying basically the same things, and then introduces the man to the crowd in the same way that Eric Bischoff would introduce Hulk Hogan. And then instead of Hulk Hogan, it's John Cena dressed in an NWO outfit, black and white, with a world title belt, playing it like the guitar like Hulk Hogan used to do. It was nuts. And you get to the ring, and John Cena snaps and starts beating up on Bray Wyatt. He got him on the ground and just punching, and then all of a sudden the camera looks down and Bray Wyatt's not there. It's Huskus the pig puppet in place instead.
Oh,
and
he's back into the gear that he went into the ring with.
Yep, and now he's back in normal gear. And then the Fiend pops up behind him, and the Mandible Claw, and then Sister Abigail's Kiss. And then
he hits Sister Abigail.
Yeah, hits the Sister Abigail. Then you hear John Cena's word from the promo on, I believe, SmackDown, where he says, the most overhyped, overrated superstar the WWE has ever seen
will be ended.
Yep, will be ended. And then the Fiend went for the cover, and the non-Fiend Bray Wyatt counted the 1, 2, 3. It was nuts.
Incredible.
It was great. I loved every second of it. It was absolutely enthralling.
And Cena's body just disappears.
Oh yeah, just gone. Right just at the end, he's gone. There's not like an exit where he goes off beaten or whatever. He's just out of the ring, gone, whatever. And the Fiend's in there. If this hadn't happened, the Undertaker match from yesterday would be my match of the weekend, I believe. But my moment of the week. But this was the WrestleMania moment that I will remember.
Wow.
All time from this WrestleMania.
So we've all had that movie that we watched that was a psychological just F job.
This is pretty much every Stephen King movie.
Well, yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter what that movie is for you that's the psychological F job. It could be
Requiem for a Dream, even. That's kind of messed up.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's Mulholland Drive. And I've told Smarks this numerous times. For other people, it's Six Sense, which wasn't that great, or whatever it may be. This was in the category of the F job. If you're a wrestling fan, you have to be a wrestling fan. Because Smarks, didn't you say your wife was just like, this is dumb?
My wife the entire time was like, what the hell is this shit?
But for wrestling fans, this is the mind fuck. Because we're not listed as for children. This is the mind fuck that is Mulholland Drive or Memento or in a 10 minute just absolute mind fuck that just makes you go, this was incredible.
It was great. And I don't think we can overstate how much all of this stuff owes to a Matt Hardy. And I think it's worth at least saying, if Matt Hardy hadn't thought outside the box 5-6 years ago with the delete, ultimate deletion, total nonstop deletion, all of those things, and bet on himself, I don't think anyone would have had the guts to allow that Undertaker match to go on, or this
would have been incredibly underproduced if not for that, if they hadn't seen the blueprint before.
Yeah.
I wonder who actually produced this, though. Who was the one that wrote this?
Bray and John wrote that one.
Yeah, Bray and John Rhoda. I would not be surprised if Jeremy Borash had a hand in it. Jeremy Borash was also one of the main producers in TNA during the Total Nonstop Deletion and all of that stuff. And he has since come back to WWE. So I would not be surprised.
How long ago has that been?
Because
hearing Jeremy Borash, I'm like
4 years.
Oh wow, 4 years.
So the other thing that's interesting about this, and it was a lot of fun when you heard it, the Vince McMahon puppet, when they're doing commentary, literally says, "Now that's good shit."
Yes, he did. So yeah, Total Nonstop Deletion, which wasn't that the first of the Hardy Compound ones?
No, I think Delete or Decay was.
I'm trying to remember.
No.
It was December of 2016.
Yeah, I don't remember for sure. I thought the first at the Hardy Compound was against Abyss in Delete or Decay. I think that's where Jeff became Brother Nero.
Because this was the one that was Jeff versus.
No, that would have been Total Nonstop Deletion was the final one that they had at the Hardy Compound, which him versus Jeff. But they did another one. They did Delete or Decay against Abyss.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so Delete or Decay had to come afterwards because this one was. This was
the final one was Jeff and was.
Yeah,
Jeff.
I think Jeff was the last one.
Yeah.
Because I remember getting into the Deletion, and then I saw that one, and that was the last one he did for TNA.
But they underproduced. Vince took that same Total Nonstop Deletion match and had it against Bray when they baptized out Sister Abigail. And they underproduced that big time, and they did not underproduce this. What?
Are you talking about the Randy Orton one? No, you're talking about
Bray versus Matt Hardy.
Oh yes, okay, yeah, that wasn't that good though.
They underproduced it. They also underproduced the Randy Orton House of Horrors match. Which it's not as bad as people give it credit for, but certainly wasn't as good as this was. Did we lose Smarks?
No, I'm here. I'm looking at where everything was. So, because I have to get that figured out here. Timeline.
It's CD. Give him some time.
So May 17th of 2016 was when Broken Matt Hardy debuted. So August 18 was the Ascension to Hell match.
That's against Abyss as well, I think.
It's versus Decay, which had Abyss in it. Decay had Abyss and Rosemary and I think Crazy Steve. I don't know if he was in it yet at that point.
I think his last match of the day was against Brother Nero.
December 15th was Total Nonstop Deletion.
And then in April they came over for
January 17th was Open Night Fight Night. Anyways, we're not doing an Impact show. We're doing a WrestleMania show. Get back in the game, Smarks. Okay. No, but that's all it comes down to is if he hadn't done those things and bet on himself at that point, they would never have let these sorts of things happen to this.
No, they'd have tried the Undertaker one, but it wouldn't have been done right, and they did it right this time.
And I don't think they would have tried this at all.
No.
I don't think they would have had the guts to. And this was phenomenal. It was so great. It was. I just laughed and applauded, and it was.
In fact, this felt like it was directed by Jordan Peele. Like that's how good this was. Like it was good.
And honestly, I felt like they took a road trip to the warehouse and they just got a whole bunch of old stuff too. They're like, all right, let's grab that, let's grab that, let's grab that. Yeah. That must have been a great time to film. Like,
so to be perfectly honest, they could have filmed a lot of it at the warehouse.
I don't think Cena was. I don't think this happens without Cena being in movies now either, though.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think a lot of it came down to they knew Cena couldn't do like the real physical full-on match that he would have normally done because of his movies, because of his contracts and all that stuff. So they had to limit that. But it was just so good.
Because Cena signed off on this, and I don't think Vince signs off on it without Cena's sign off. Like this is outside Vince's. This is way outside anything Vince would ever do.
Mm-hmm.
Way outside.
Yep.
So, and I think Cena going, no, dude, you don't understand. In movies, like this works. Yeah. I promise you, this will work.
Well, and even more, just saying, hey, here's the deal: is we have to pass the torch. I'm not going to be able to come back for next WrestleMania, right? I can't promise I can come back for any WrestleMania or any wrestling match again, right? So I have to pass the torch. What better way than me to help crown the Fiend Bray Wyatt? And for all of the stuff that they've done to ruin Bray Wyatt over the last 6 to 8 months,
this was it as possible.
Yeah, this was about as best that they could do to make you forget all of that stuff and get back to the Fiend being the Fiend, right? But speaking of Vince McMahon going out of his comfort zone, we will go back to Vince McMahon 100% in his comfort zone as we have Big Man versus Big Man.
Yay!
Well done. I like the segue. Well played.
The main event of all of WrestleMania, Drew McIntyre versus Brock Lesnar.
I hope they didn't mess this one up and Drew actually won.
Well, you would be satisfied Drew actually did win. However, you remember when we mentioned during the Braun Strowman versus Goldberg match to remember the 3 and the 4? Mm-hmm. Because Control-C, Control-V the Braun Strowman match and to just put Lesnar and Drew McIntyre in this, and you have the same match.
So 3 F5s, 4 Claymores?
Pretty much, yep.
Oh, yeah. Wow. So it was another quick match.
Yeah, it was a pretty darn quick match. I mean, it was
off longer than the other one because Brock has better timing than Goldberg.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough, yeah. But,
like, right off the bat, McIntyre hit a Claymore, and Lesnar immediately sat up, right? McIntyre went for another one, and Lesnar evaded it, hit Suplex City, 3 straight German suplexes, put him up, hit him an F5, McIntyre kicked out at 1, hit another F5, McIntyre kicks out at 2, hits another F5, McIntyre kicks out at 2 3/4.
Heyman says to Brock, you can do it all night.
Mm-hmm. All night long, dude. Goes to pick up McIntyre for a 4th F5. McIntyre slides off, pushes Lesnar into the ropes, hits the Claymore. He then gets in the corner and does his old get up, hits another Claymore, and then another Claymore.
That's 3.
And then 4 total, including the first one beforehand. And then gets the 3 count. And that's it. So your winner and
Heyman looks as astonished from this as he did when Brock beat Undertaker.
Damn, it feels like almost and I'm sure the WrestleMania moment for McIntyre must have been amazing for him to get the championship, but what a crappy match to end Mania.
Yeah. Well, and, I mean, it's to follow
tough to end on those 2 vignettes twice.
Yeah.
Though,
And that's the deal. But anything following the absolute insanity that the Bray Wyatt thing is going to struggle one way or another.
Well, that's what I mean. I'm surprised they just didn't end it with that. Or would that have been weird to have ended with?
Because they ended with the Undertaker match the night before. I don't think they could end it both nights that way.
Yeah, they would have had to have done something different on night 1 to have felt comfortable doing that on night 2. But that was where they ended. It wasn't a bad match. I wish they would have gone a little bit out of their comfort zone and did something
had to be longer,
different than the night before. But I will give Lesnar credit. Lesnar and that F5 is still a really protected finisher. And for him to allow McIntyre to kick out, not just kick out at all, but kick out at 1, that at least shows Lesnar understood and believed in this match.
Oh, well, yeah, and one of the things is Lesnar through this entire feud has shown that he really, really does believe in Drew. And the reason I say that is he's the one who told Drew to pick up the title.
Yep.
On the night that Drew declared he was going to take on Lesnar.
Yeah, and
so
7 Claymore kicks on the.
Yep.
I think it was only 4, but
at the same time, we also heard, Brock Lesnar was apparently really ticked off when coming to film this, and he went to Vince's office because, he was just mad at the fact that, it was still going on through the whole COVID situation, and he was upset that he was putting all the wrestlers into jeopardy and so on and so forth. So, but I mean, that I guess has no relation to either one.
Well, and that's the deal. Yeah. I mean, we've said a long time that Brock Lesnar, when he cares about a match, is one of the best in the world, period. He just very easily sometimes doesn't care about matches.
Right.
He, an easy example of that was his match versus Dean Ambrose. He didn't care. Dean Ambrose had a whole lot of course, now Jon Moxley, but Dean Ambrose had a whole bunch of ideas about how we wanted to go, and Brock Lesnar was like, nah, just do this, and then I'm going to pin you, and we're going to be done. So this, he obviously cared. When he does care, he puts on a great performance, which he did. He allows someone to look good against him, which he did. So kudos to him for this, right? They also made the right choice and put the belt on McIntyre. He totally deserves it right now. He somehow or another was able to seamlessly and actually almost entirely invisibly turn from heel to sort of babyface without ever having that babyface moment. So often they need their Stone Cold pass out moment to become the top babyface in the company. And McIntyre just came out and kicked ass at Royal Rumble, and now he's absolutely loved by the fans. So,
and he can easily revert back to heel if they need it.
Yeah.
His skill set can roll back to heel. Without Braun actually being an asshat recently, I don't know if he could roll to heel very easily. I think right now he can because he's an asshat. And I'll say that to his chest because he's taller than me.
I will say it right to his scrot.
All in all, a better WrestleMania than I expected from the circumstances.
Yes, way better than I expected. Way better than we deserved, I think. But at the same point, we would not have got this WrestleMania if it had been in front of 70,000.
Right.
Yeah.
If it had been in the normal situations, I don't know if Vince signs off on the Bray Wyatt craziness.
Oh, that wouldn't have happened for sure at all.
And
he might sign off on the AJ and Undertaker match.
Mm-hmm.
He might have signed off.
The Bray Wyatt, he might have signed off and said, but we're not going to do it at WrestleMania. We'll save it for Breaking Grounds or something like that.
Which is what he did with the Bray versus Matt Hardy one. They actually just held it off till Monday.
Yep, and just put it on a Monday night. We'll just do it then. We don't need to wait.
I feel like that ladder match wouldn't have been, honestly, I thought it was going to be weird for the ladder match to have no crowd, but although it seemed kind of odd because the fans weren't there to, cheer on when they were high up on the ladder and so on, I actually think it's a better match with just them three rather than having
six.
Six.
Yeah. So, and we actually, when we were discussing earlier while you were still watching the first night, we actually mentioned that Smarks, you said that you thought it was a little weird for one person on each tag team to be defending, but you'd seen it before. I think it was a better match because there was only 3 people in it.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
I think if I were to give a rating to this WrestleMania, and kind of like I said on AEW, in a vacuum, this gets a different rating than it gets in the end, right? In a vacuum, just rating it entirely on itself, maybe it's a 7.5, 8 out of 10.
I would have said 6 out of 10,
but based on the situation and the circumstances, I think this was a 9 out of 10. I think they did everything they needed to make this work. To be perfectly honest, the only thing that was really a 100% miss for me was Gronk. He was inconsequential. The only thing he did was one dive off of a balcony and win a 24/7 championship, and then F off to probably back to New England.
Wait, did we see Triple H at any point?
No.
Not in any official thing. He might have like appeared in like backstage vignettes or something like that. You know, when they're doing like they did a whole segment on Drew McIntyre and how he was the chosen one, you know, 10 years ago or whatever it was. But that all fell apart on him, and now he's back.
Because I'm surprised to have seen Stephanie open the show. I don't know. I felt I would have expected
both nights.
Vince. Yeah. I would have expected Vince or Tripp to have opened the show.
Yeah, I think she was a better open than Vince would have been, though.
She was the better open. Probably someone sneezed and he got pissed and left the room.
Jeez. God damn it! That's a badass word.
But in the end, like I say, taken in a vacuum, this you know, and comparing it to other WrestleManias, this was not that. But based on the situation and what they did, just like I said about AEW, they raised the bar of what you can do with an empty arena, and a little bit of pre-taping.
I also want to go, here's the thing. Wow, I sounded like Justin there saying, here's the thing.
Jesus.
So, Titus O'Neil, his reaction at the end of that Bray match really added something to it, too. You've come a long way from tripping under the ring at Greatest Royal Rumble, buddy.
Yeah, it just came to him, and he's just sitting there, like, staring at the camera, like, what did I just...
He's like, I don't know what to say about that.
I don't know what to say, so,
It's our championship match.
Pretty sure they showed him the edited version, because it's taped, right? And they're like, okay, what do you think? Now we're going to film you. And he was probably just like, I'm so excited.
But no, that's why I go
terrified. I was terrified that I was going to be the only one that liked the Bray match. Terrified. That's why I sent that message earlier. I was like, "Are you guys watching this?" I'm enthralled right now.
Absolutely loved it. It was.
Have you by any chance checked the Twitter sphere? See what everyone else is thinking on it?
I haven't.
I haven't 100% checked that. All I do know is I saw the headline that said wrestling fans are loving the Bray Wyatt Firefly Funhouse match. So
they are.
I think the general consensus was people liking it, but
you know who won't like it? Jim
Cornette.
Jim Cornette will hate that,
and all his cock followers. That's COC, Cult of Cornette, by the way.
So, if you broke it down to men and women, I would say the women's results, I would give a 2 out of 10. The women's matches were all just as good. They don't have a character who does these vignette type things, so unfortunately they're not going to get the 9 out of 10 in a vacuum or with Corona. But as a whole, the women's matches were exceptional. The results are not what the fans really wanted, I don't think, on any of them except for maybe the tag match.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and that's the deal. It's like I say, in a vacuum, just on its own, all of that. But I just can't, in this situation, grade things on a vacuum. There's so much stuff going on, and so I had to just take a step back and be like, at the end of the night, especially tonight, did I come away from this? Yes, I had some things that I didn't like as much, but did I come away from this going, that was awesome? And the answer is yes. Yes, I did. I came away from this absolutely entertained. I did not feel like I wasted 7 hours of my life.
And you know what, though, guys? I honestly think moving forward, they should keep it a 2-night event.
I'm all for it.
I'm for it for sure.
I'm all for it for really all of the big four. I think you could do Royal Rumble as a 2-night event with women one night, men the other night, and then you can have a longer Royal Rumble. I really liked it on the big four. I think that you could do it. Maybe you could skip SummerSlam with it, but I'm all.
I don't know. I would actually say just keep it as a WrestleMania thing, because like this, it makes it a WrestleMania specialty. You know what I mean?
Except for Wrestle Kingdom's been doing it for years.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Wrestle Kingdom's been a 2-night event for at least 5 years.
But Vince McMahon doesn't care because Wrestle Kingdom is not in North America.
Yeah. That's one of them their foreign ones. They don't matter. We're just gonna steal their biggest stars later and make them mid-carders. And make fun of them for not speaking English.
Here's looking at you. Anybody from Japan?
Pretty much. But no, I just yeah, there were things that weren't perfect. This doesn't get a 10 out of 10 even with the curve that I'm putting it. But there was just so much to love about this that overcame all of the stuff that I didn't like, and I just loved it.
Honestly, we were expecting. Now I still gotta watch it, but from what you guys, you guys are obviously crazy avid wrestling fans. So if you're telling me it's great, I can't wait to watch it. A lot of people were expecting it to be just the worst. People had such low expectations, and I'm at least glad that it's raised above that. This is easily probably better than some pay-per-views from last year, I would say.
Oh, I would say the number one, yeah, the picture you sent, that's the picture we were talking about.
Okay.
Number two, I would say this is a significant learning piece, because the best two things out of all of this were well produced. My fear is that they're going to go to that almost exclusively to the Bray Wyatt, or for Undertaker you can't go exclusively to that, because we all know he's old and we'll give him a pass for that. But my fear is that they're going to do almost exclusively that for the Fiend, and I don't think you should. I'd love to see the Fiend do something like that with Seth Rollins, especially after the
they should
Hell in a
have
Cell.
done that with Seth Rollins. Yeah, that would have been.
Well, I think they still can after the Hell in a Cell. So maybe have a little more violence and a little more fighting. But yeah, I think they could do that with that. To rectify that, I guess. Bray Wyatt's supposed to be a nightmare, and I'm sorry, the Fiend is supposed to be a nightmare, and if you do that, that will create the nightmare, and don't ever put a title on him. Just make it a nightmare.
I'm so curious how much the cost of it too, of those productions themselves, the Taker AJ and the Bray Wyatt. Well, Bray Wyatt might not be that much, but
yeah, I don't think there was much money put into the Bray Wyatt one. I would guess Undertaker and AJ, all the money that they would have spent on a Triple H entrance, they spent on that.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, and they didn't have to use a bunch of jobbers as extras,
Yeah.
and then eventually make them superstars later so that they can use them in footage about, oh, you didn't know that this superstar started off as a ring maiden for Triple H at his entrance at WrestleMania for 47.
Or riding the side of a Tommy, or holding a Tommy gun on the side of a car for John Cena.
Yeah. But anyway, so this 47-hour-long review.
I was going to mention we might want to cut this into 2 segments, just so you know, we're well over 3 hours.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot that gets edited out, but it's going to be a long one way or another. So I will start to wrap this up. Like I said, too big for one night, but we're just going to give it to you in one night anyways. I enjoyed it. Like I said, I gave it a 9 out of 10. I don't know where you guys ended up at, but by far best WWE pay-per-view in a long while. There was no Hell in a Cell moment for this one where it's just like, what the hell. I'm sure
there was for somebody like Cornette, but there wasn't for me.
No, I enjoyed the heck out of it. I loved it. I'm excited to see what happens tomorrow night at Raw, what they follow this up with. We'll see where everything goes with
guys.
For now.
And this is going to be the first time we have a night after WrestleMania where the crowd is usually crazy and everything like that, where it'll just be nothing. So sad.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. See if they, because so often the Raw after WrestleMania is also where the big surprise appearances are at.
That's it.
And I don't think we're going to get that.
No.
But
I hope so.
Still...
I hope because Charlotte won. No, but Charlotte's SmackDown, right? I was thinking because Charlotte won, maybe a bunch of NXT stars would come up on Raw, but it's Raw.
Yeah. But Charlotte's now NXT because she's the champion. So
if I was to guess, my guesses would be that they're going to tomorrow night will be recap almost exclusively.
Yeah, I would bet they filmed some follow-up stuff, but yeah, you know, with the reports that they don't know when or where they're going to be able to film for a while, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't just hedge their bets tomorrow night and do a lot of recap and all of that, and that way if they aren't able to do new programming for SmackDown or next week's Raw, they didn't like set anything in motion that they can't postpone, you know?
Man, they could kind of just do at-home promos or something. You know what I mean? Like the musicians are doing, they do little concerts here and there. Like just to give something to continue stuff. They don't have to have, you know, wrestling matches or whatever, but they can definitely do something.
But all in all, loved the episode. Hope you guys listening loved this episode. Sorry it lasted as long as it did, but the Bray Wyatt deserved in-depth coverage. I couldn't have just covered what happened there in 5 minutes.
We could do an hour on that. We could do an hour and a half on that. We could do 5 hours on that.
It might be our FBI this week. Book so-and-so in a Firefly Funhouse match.
Oh, Lord, you're going to do that.
I might. I just might. But anyways, we'll wrap this up.
And you're going to give me the bullshit. I always go first.
Just a quick thing before you wrap up. I'm so sorry. Why is AEW still allowed to still do stuff?
Number one,
Different
AEW
state.
films in Georgia, not Florida, right now.
Oh.
They filmed the first couple empty arenas in Florida, but they'd moved this last week to Georgia to film, which Georgia has less restrictive shelter in place right now.
Okay.
That being said, and I think I talked about this with DA Fabe on one of the last podcasts, but AEW did get health services called on them. Department of Health came in to shut them down at their filming last week, and they had all the paperwork that they needed to continue filming, but that does not mean that they will be able to film again. However, it also appears that they filmed at least a few weeks worth of stuff when they filmed this last time. So they've got at least the next couple weeks covered in filming as they figure out what they're going to do after that. So.
Okay.
And then DFA, I'm going to point out the only time I go first always is on the vilify, nullify, deify, because I roll into it from the intro.
Because my idea, and so I'm doing it.
Yep, because I roll into it from the intro, and I created it, and it's my show, and I'll cry if I want to.
Theoretically, I created FBI.
You could say you had a thing in it, but I'm the one who came up with the idea of calling it a visit from the FBI.
Okay, Vince McMahon.
That's not good shit.
Okay, Vince.
Listen, the world could only handle one Vince McMahon, guys.
I feel like our surname, our kayfabe names are backwards right now.
I am the law.
Now you're sliced alone. That's awesome.
Actually, I tweeted that at Justin the other day, or Facebook messaged him or whatever, because he said something, and then why do you get to do that? And I said, because I am the law. And I sent that message.
And then his wife begged to differ.
I actually had a boss in the past who said that to one of his employees. Actually said it to his brother, who also co-owned the company, and said, "Rules? I am the rules," to his own brother, who also was a co-owner, which I was like, you're about as pompous a person as they could possibly be saying something like that. Anyway.
But on that note, let's wrap this up so that we don't talk for 47 hours.
Edit, man. By the way, if you need any help editing or you want me to listen to like an hour of something, let me know, okay?
Charlie the Unicorn. That's what we want you to listen to.
You've got assignments. Charlie the Unicorn. And then Joe Exotic's presidential campaign ad. And then what you got cut up.
I also have the assignment of having to watch Netflix's new series about Joe Exotic. So
Tiger King.
Wait, and we must end it off before we do our things. We must end it off by blaming WrestleMania with Carol freaking Baskin. It's her reasoning that she made WrestleMania so good, and that there was no Tigers.
So good. Carol freaking Baskin.
Yep.
Why does COVID-19 exist?
Carol freaking Baskin.
It's also the reason why there's a tiger that has the coronavirus now.
Carol freaking Baskin.
Yep, that's time to close it out.
We're off the rails, so make sure to check out our Wix site. It's in the doobly-doos. Also on a pinned tweet on my Twitter. I am at Raw and Order WBU on Twitter. DA Fabe is
at DA Vincent K Fabe. By the way, doobly-doos still not a word.
It's my word, and I use it if I want to. Justin, you can find him at
JLB420, or my Real Talk Radio Twitter is at Real Talk Radio 8. And you can also go to anchor.fm/RTR to get all my socials and doobly-doos there as well.
Exactly.
Word got stolen.
On that, I will thank everyone for listening. We will be back tomorrow night. We'll be doing the Raw review, and then we'll see where we go from there.
Yep.
See you guys later. Thanks for listening. Deuce.
Let me in.